Got so many questions on my last post about the match process, and today I'm going to be answering them. First question was, what parts of your application do you think played the most role in securing me interviews? Okay, so I think I would admit that there are some factors in my application that I can't take credit for. I can't say that, oh my God, I put out the best application there is. Oh, this is why this worked out for me and stuff. There was definitely like the God factor. If I tell my story, you would definitely see that, oh, okay, no, this could not have been you. But if I was to say one thing, it would be maybe my personal statement or my step scores. I would lean more towards my personal statement because maybe only 2 people said you have good scores, which my scores were good. But it came out in conversation maybe twice, but my personal statements probably they come out maybe 5 or 6 times or 7 times out of 10, if that makes sense. So I would say my personal statement, and that's just because the story was like pretty unique because of the war. So it does not mean that you have to have something terrible or big or tragic happen in your life for you to have like a good personal statement. But whatever you decide to put as the theme of your statement, make sure that they are not wondering who you are. Make sure you're expressing who you are, at least the qualities that you want them to see or notice about you. Make sure you are showing them why they should pick you, and make sure that the passion for that specialty shines through your personal statement. And for the scores, I would say I think I had good enough scores to not be filtered out. But then, many people have high scores as well. So it wasn't as if it was like the highest ever score. I'm going to start with YouTube because you YouTube guys have been there from the very beginning. Lots of congratulations. And I am so grateful. So grateful. Thankful that I got the chance to share this milestone with you. Now, next question say, do medical school grades matter? In your medical school, you have a pass, fail honor system, and there are no raw scores. Will it be affected if you have pass but not honors? Nope. They don't really care so much about your grades. Obviously, like your transcript is going to be one of the things that are going to be reviewed in your application. But apart from that, that's really it. I've never there's like a survey of the factors that the program directors consider most, and your med school grades are not even in the top 5. Your board scores, your USMLE scores will matter than your grades. Not every doctor had honors or distinctions in med school. Obviously, it's nice if you do have them, but if you don't, that's fine. Next question says, sometimes we're studying the same thing. The USMLE material is a little different from your med school stuff. Do you ditch your school materials and focus on seniors limits? Please don't do that. Don't ditch your med school materials, because in the end you have to be a doctor first before you become a resident. Makes sense. You have to graduate medical school, and I believe that medicine is the same everywhere, just that the focus of your med school exams and the focus of the step exams might be different, right? But then a good foundation in med school would give you like an easy preparation in USMLE. So please do not ditch your med school exams, your materials. You can incorporate USMLE materials in your studying. Or maybe you're doing psych, you can pick up first aid, because sometimes exams in medical school are dependent on who the lecturer is, and there might just be some materials that you need to study for you to ace the exam. So maybe study the materials for them, right? We'll also try to incorporate USMLE materials, and then by the time you do question banks, you realize that the theory that you learned is the same, just that maybe in your med school you guys do like maybe an oral exam mode of asking questions or a theory, why in the USMLE is going to be MCQs, and then that means that you have to know some more details than you would have, like we would have glossed over them if we were just like preparing for a med school exam. But please don't ditch your med school stuff, okay? Any tips on how to plan for electives? I have about 2 years to plan, and I want to know how and where it will help. That's nice. Like, I'm happy that you have 2 years to plan. I would ask this person to please send me a DM. I did not go for electives, but I have like so many people that I follow on Instagram that post about electives. So usually like the highest ones like would be those ones that you apply 6 months before, because these are electives that you get to do in universities, the university hospitals that also have residency programs. And sometimes like it's believed that the letters that you get from these kind of electives are superior to the ones that you might get in clinics and all. But then in the end, it's more about the quality of what it's inside your letter than what the letterhead says I think both of them are important, but yeah, just send me DM and I would send you the materials that I've saved. I did not do electives myself. I did tele-rotation. And you talked about expensive electives, if they will help you match. Before you go on to pay for electives, please do your best, since you have 2 years, to explore the free ones. Put out do your step 1, apply for this, and hopefully you get in so that you don't have to pay for expensive electives. And then another thing would be, if you have the chance to get into the US system, you can also cold email doctors in your area, ask them for an opportunity to shadow them or observe them, and you never know, from there you might also have the chance to meet other doctors who'll be willing to do same for you. Or you can leverage connections. If you have family in the US that know some doctors that are willing to give you the opportunity, also leverage that. Do you have a green card or strong ties to the US? This question was very funny. He said, or are you a normal non-US visa seeking IMG, like some of us would be? Yes, I am a normal non-US visa seeking IMG. I don't have a green card. I'm from Nigeria, born, bred in Nigeria, never been to the US in my life. So yes, I'm very normal, very normal non-US IMG. How did I get USCE? On site or virtual? How many months? Any research experience? Extra things in my CV that you think stood out? How did I get USCE? So I couldn't travel. I couldn't afford to travel, so I had to opt for the virtual rotations, and I agree that should not be your first resort, should be the last thing if you're absolutely sure that you cannot get in-person US clinical experience. So I think for me, the major reasons were finances and visa wait times. So I had to opt for that, because in as much as I couldn't get it, and I knew that there was a possibility that I would match or would not match because of this. I also wanted to show these programs that I took initiative, and I was someone who looked for opportunities. So I decided to just take it, and also just to learn a little bit about the US healthcare system. And also I wanted to get some US letters, so that I could apply with some US letters and some home country letters. Next question, any research experience? I wouldn't categorically say was research experience in the way that you're probably asking, but when I was in medical school, we used to have these international conferences every year, international, as per within the country, and you had the chance to present anything you are working on with your teachers or by yourself, be it a literature review, abstract of anything, a case report, whatever it was. And I think I had the opportunity to do that twice, and I included that in my CV. I also included 2 basic science presentations I did, very basic. It wasn't even research. It was just presentations about hepatitis and HIV and stuff that I did in my histology class. So I included that. And there was this case I'd seen in Nigeria once, and I wrote about it, and my OBGYN teacher asked me to submit it to this European journal, and I did. So I wouldn't exactly say that I did research, but anything that I did that was published or was presented, I included that. What are the extra things in my CV that you think stood out? So I would say that the CV limits you to 10 experiences, and the truth is that not everybody is going to have 10 experiences to share, but I just felt they gave you, there were 2 schools of thought, it's better you include quality things over quantity. And then other people thought that it didn't matter. They were of the opinion that, you are given 10 opportunities to shine, so you use it. And I was of that opinion that, you're given 10 opportunities to shine, use it. So the things I included in my CV, I included, I was rotating through Federal Medical Center here in Lagos, Nigeria for 6 months. It was what you would call observership in the US, but in Nigeria it's pretty normal to even do that. So I did that here, and I included that. So I think for me, what I tried to emphasize with that was that I love internal medicine. I'm willing to spend this amount of time learning the ropes now that I'm at home, even without being paid. And I also really learned a lot from the internists that I was fortunate to work with. So I also tried to show in my CV that these are the people that have been my examples in this past month, and this is the kind of doctor I want to be, and blah 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 blah. So I included that. I included the tele-rotations that I did, both of them. Included what I learned, the ones that were very technical, learning how to even use the EMR, right, and learning about billings and insurance, things like that, those things that were very new to me. So I included those kind of things. And then I included some work that I did. I volunteered in this health center, and I just wanted to show community involvement, right? And then I included my tutoring experience, because I do have an extensive tutoring experience. I included like some mission work that I'd done back in medical school and stuff. So I wouldn't say that it's one thing that makes you stand out. Like obviously, like if there is one thing that your interviewer or the person who reviewed the application and felt like they would want to meet you, so they would probably bring it up during the interview that, oh, I saw that you did this, and that might be the one thing that they liked about you. But then most times it's almost, I think I would say most times it's like a general view of who you've presented yourself to be, not one thing, right? It's like you're marrying somebody and you say, okay, what's the one thing that made you like this person? Well, it's possible, but yeah, it was mostly like totality of who that person presents themselves to be. So I think I tried in my CV to show that, well, I really want this job. I really like internal medicine. I love to teach, which is something that I think internists value, right? Doctors do value that. And I think to me, internal medicine is very big on medical education. And I also tried to show teamwork, and tried to show that, oh, I could work with people. I loved interacting with people and things like that. And then that I cared about my environment. I cared to volunteer, I cared to give back, and YouTube, that I cared about mentoring. So I just tried to present myself as that. So I wouldn't say it was one thing. Somebody wanted to know about your grades not being distinction and want to match interventional radiology. Interventional radiology has like very limited spots. That means that you have your work cut out for you. And I think that the least of your worries should be your credit or lack of distinctions. I don't think it matters as much as the clinical experience that you should get in the US in the field, the letters that you should get from interventional radiologists, or maybe the people, I don't know, the people surrounding that specialty. I'm not very familiar with it. I think that your grades are like the last thing that you should worry about. Next question says, did I write ndcn exams before the USMLEs? No, I did not. I wanted to do it, but we had like some issues, Ukraine, Nigeria, ndcn stuff, and so if I was going to do MDCN, it was supposed to be November of 2022, and I'd actually traveled to Abuja to try to see if I could do it, and it didn't work. So if I'd done it, yes, probably I would have done it before my exam, because I wrote my step 1 in medical school in 2021, and then I wrote step 2 in 2023. And yeah, so within that around November of 2022, I could have written the MDCN exams, but I wasn't allowed to at the time. How did I deal with imposter syndrome and depression? I would say that I did not necessarily deal with depression, but yes, were there hard days? Yes. Were there sad days? Yes. Were there tearful days? Yes. Days like I remember like the time I was applying for my German visa to get. At the time I was applying for a visa to travel to Germany for my step 1, and my exam was really drawing close, and I had issues with issues in my application, and hot tears, and I think I just someone that processes things through crying. And yeah, there are days I doubted myself. Oh my god, I think imposter syndrome is something that's very common among doctors. Like everybody talks about imposter syndrome. Do we all really have it? I don't know, but yes, I did feel insecure about many parts of my application. There are times I felt like who would want to pick me over people who had been working their butts off in the US, trying to which I really, really respect the hard work that everybody puts in. So I did have that, but I think for me it's like, okay, fine, let's say that I'm afraid, or let's say that I feel like I'm not good enough. I'm not going to keep my application because I'm not good enough. So even if I had those feelings, I still continued what I was doing, and I'm glad it worked out. I don't know if that makes sense. And then I think I had my friends, and my friends believed so much in me. My friends believe in me so much that sometimes I feel like we should swap. They actually believe in me, and most times I leveraged that. So I had people that I will call and say, this is how I'm feeling, and they will speak truth to me, and then I'll calm myself down. And then I think I also really really leveraged my faith, because I remember my first interview day, I was like a mess, anxiety, my heart, I could feel my heart. It felt like I was doing step 2 again. I'm like, what is the problem? So I think I had to tell myself that, hey, you didn't come this far by yourself. So I had scriptures that I would confess, Joseph's story, Daniel's story, things that were not necessarily you, but it was God. So I had those things I would confess, and I think they also went a long way for me. I just told myself that, see, it's not you, it's God. So don't worry about it. If you're really struggling, I would say please do not try to do this alone. Do not try to isolate yourself. Please let people know what you're doing. Let people know how they can support you. I remember in the heat of step 1 prep, I had my friends who were bringing me food. I had my friends who would see me off to the airport, who would see me off to the train station. I had friends who practiced interviewing with me. I had my friends who helped me research programs, helped me, dig through the websites of the programs that I had to apply to, even friends who did help me financially during the journey. So I would say, please try your best not to try to bear this by yourself. Please let your friends know what you're going through, and let them know how they can help you. How does year of graduation affect your chances of matching? It does affect your chances of matching in the sense that it's generally believed that the lesser your year of graduation, the more appealing. But then I've learned from my mentor, Dr. Nina Loom, and seeing the number of students that she has coached who have extensive years of graduation and they still match. You already have the year of graduation, so you can't do anything about it. But then you can tell them that these years of graduation have translated into valuable experiences that you're bringing to their program. Show them. I think the disadvantage is just the problem is going to be that there are programs that would filter you out because of your graduation. Like some of them have those things as their filters, because nobody is really going to sit down and read 4,000 applications or 5,000 or 3,000. So some of these programs have these filters. That's why people worry about step scores and everything like that. But then I've also heard the story of someone who was filtered, and she had gone to a conference and met a program director at a program that she had already been filtered out, and they considered her again. I've also seen someone with 10 years match at a place that did not take people beyond 3 years, because I think he rotated there and they saw his work ethic and they didn't care. So I think the most important thing is that, okay, try to be clinically relevant. But then if it's a situation where life happened and it wasn't like that you are clinically relevant, just, you never can tell really. Try to tell your story. These people are human beings. People reviewing these applications, people interviewing you, they are human beings, and you don't know what it's about you that resonate with them, right? How much does the process cost, and do I pay money? Yes, you pay money to apply. I know that this year they've changed the fee structure, but in my own time I paid $1,987, just a little bit under $2,000 to be able to apply to 80 programs. So yes, you pay money to apply. You pay money to get your ERAS token. So ERAS is like the portal where we submit this, like where we fill in our CV, submit all of these things, where you do application. That's that portal, that online portal is ERAS, and you pay, I think, $160 to gain access to that. You also pay $80 to be able to get your transcript released by ECFMG to ERAS, so programs can see it. And then you also pay $70 for NRMP. NRMP is the portal where the match itself happens, so you pay $70 to be able to do that. And I think that's mostly what you pay. Yeah, that's besides your step fees and ECFMG fees and stuff like that. Next question is, I love the way you simplify everything. Thank you so much. Congratulations, best wishes. So grateful, so real and beautiful. Oh, thank you. How many OSCEs did USCE did I already mentioned? 2 months of tele rotation, and I got one through an agency and one through a friend who knew a doctor that was offering that. Mind sharing my position, the position of the program I matched at on my rank order list? When I saw this question, it was very weird, because I didn't know what the person wanted to use the position to do. So I was like, okay, if it's useful for you, send me a DM and tell me how useful it is to you, and maybe I will tell you. Congrats on matching. Do any communities of Nigerian medical graduates primarily focused on the USMA journey? I'm so sorry, I do not know. I am not so deep into the Nigerian medical system, so I don't know. But I know that there are, like, I'm sure that if you want it on match day, you see how many doctors matched from Nigeria. It was incredible. It was phenomenal. And I know that there are these groups, and maybe you can start yours, like 1, 2, 3 people who want to do the same thing. And you guys can start one. Or as against that, just keep your ears open. People do these things, and they sometimes they like to keep it on a low. And if you hear anything, just ask them. But I know that these groups do exist. You can also send me a DM if I hear of anyone. I can ask them to add you or something like that. And thank you guys so much for all the congratulations. I will continue with my Instagram questions. I got the question again about what part of my application do I think made me stand out, and I'll still reiterate that sometimes it's difficult to know what exactly it was. The goal is to try to be well-rounded. At a program where I matched at, my program director had told me during the interview that he liked my energy. and I wasn't trying to be energetic, So he liked my enthusiasm. He said he felt like I was going to bring enthusiasm to the program and, stuff like that. If you're applying to a program that is very research focused, then having an extensive research history might be something that they like about you. If you're applying to a program that wants doctors who have some form of experience, then having a few years of maybe residency training in your home country might be the one thing. And if there is something they like about you, they will tell you on the interview that they like this thing about you. But then I would say that focus on being well-rounded, focus on being someone who people want to work with, and you would appeal to some programs and you won't appeal to some. But then, it's better to go to where you wanted. Obviously, that's not what made him commit to the interview, because he had not met me prior to that time. So what was it about my application itself? He didn't exactly tell me. So I would say that sometimes you just never really know. Just try to show who you really are, and if someone likes who you are, they would call you. Did I do it by myself? Definitely not. I think I've hinted about how supportive my community was, and during this cycle I met some seniors, not necessarily even my school seniors, but some of my school seniors who offered help here and there in terms of advice, time, review my CV, told me, this is a better way to put this. And I also had like a coach, or I attended like the IMG roadmap. I was part of the course from, I think, med school, and since it was like a one-time payment and lifetime membership, when time came for me to apply, I could also leverage like the resources and the support that Dr. Loom provided. How did I maneuver networking from outside? So I did not really network in the terms of meeting doctors and that kind of networking. I didn't attend conferences in the US. I didn't do those kind of things. So for me, networking from outside would mean social media. I leveraged emailing, Twitter, not so much actually. I remember, sometimes you're researching these programs and you're trying to like connect with the resident. Some would reply and some would not. So I think that at least I know 2-3 people, 4 people who had replied my emails or my Twitter messages, and they helped me during the season. So I think as far as networking goes, that's what I did. And I just need to put it out that when you're networking, the goal is not just that somebody would recommend you or that you would get an interview because you know somebody. Sometimes it's not just what they're going to offer you. They can offer you help in many other ways. So do not just email people or text people because you just want to be predatory and stuff like that. It's somehow. And try to keep in touch with your seniors. Try to keep in touch with people who you know have matched. Follow them genuinely, like their posts, comments. If you have any way that you can help them, do help them. People rarely forget those who were there for them, rarely forget those who have helped them, things like that. So actually, yes, network, but also be genuine in trying to connect with people. A lot of people want to know resources on step 1. I personally would say use either USMLE RX or But and Beyond to go through first aid. If you have time, use Kaplan for biochemistry, use microbiology, like Sketchy for microbiology. Please watch part of my videos. They're very valuable. And yes, and questions. The more questions you do, the better you get at doing questions. And since the exam is questions, that's like the most important method. And when it comes to step 1 resources and studying, that's like a whole different thing. So if you have like any specific question about step 1 itself, just let me know and I'll make a video about it. Interview questions that were asked. So I remember being asked, tell me about yourself. Describe your journey to this place. What's your ideal program? That just means why this program. If the program you're interviewing at is A and your ideal program is B, then you know how it doesn't align. So you also want to look up these programs. So when they ask you your ideal program, yes, you're not going to tell lies, but you want to highlight the strength of that program and how that is ideal for you. Things like why internal medicine, how did you find out about us? What kind of doctor do you want to be? You like to read? Do you read fiction or non-fiction? What are the causes of sleep? How would you manage this patient? How would you determine, like there was a case, who goes to the ICU, who goes to the ward, or who leaves after the emergency department? But I think it was just twice that I had medical questions. Do you have any questions for me? That one is like the most common question. Do you have any questions for me? And they're mostly conversational, really, like mostly conversational. They just want to get to know you. So yes, you have to prepare how to like put your best foot forward. You're not just answering these questions, you're also trying to impress while being yourself. It's like an act. Like if I was in a date, I would not be who I'm not to try to get a man, but then I will not go there and start picking my nose either. I'm also going to try to present myself as like my best possible self, if you understand. So there's an art to it. That's why it's also very important that you practice interview questions a lot. So I probably make a separate video. I'll try to collate the questions I was asked. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but they're purely conversational. I just want to get to know you. And if there is something about your CV or something about your PS or your research that is interesting to them, best believe that it's going to come up in the interview. And then if I get more questions, I'm just going to make a whole different video about interviewing, maybe closer to the interview season. USCE, how many USCE did I do? How was my USCE? I think I've answered this question. LORs. So I got to LORs from the 2 virtual rotations I did, and then got to LORs from my consultant, endocrinologist, and cardiologist here in Nigeria. So I felt like they knew me well. I'd worked with them closely, and I trusted that they could write me like a good letter, and they came true. When you're choosing who to write you a letter, please, your priority should be that they are willing to write you a good letter, a good personal letter, not as one person who just rotated with them. Also try to look online for the qualities of a good letter. How would a good letter describe you? What qualities are program directors looking for? Sentences like, any program would be lucky to have this person. She's one of like the most valuable. Things that speak to your character, especially as would be helpful in residency. So please do not just take your letters as like one of the things that you have to submit. Really let them speak for you, because it's very easy, because letters are very generic. They can't be very generic. I mean most people are going to write good things, right? But at least still try your best to make sure that they speak to you personally, so that the person who's reading it will know that this letter was written for you, not just because the person just wanted to like write a letter, And then also, if you're getting a letter from your home country, I think it's important that you try to let the person who is reading that letter understand the position of the person writing your letter. Here's what I mean. In the US, someone who has finished residency is an attending. However, my home country, you can be a medical officer, you can be a registrar, you can be a consultant, right? So if I say this is a consultant, a program director might not know the qualification of a consultant and why he should write me a letter, but I can describe this qualification. I can describe the hospital, say this is like an urban setting, tertiary hospital, so number of bed hospital, so that the person reading the letter will kind of understand the volume of work I was involved in and things like that. You don't have to do that, but also just remember that these are different systems. So anything that you can do to make the person reading your letter understand the letter and the position of the writer, try to just do it. How did I prepare for interviews? I prepared for interviews with my friends. Initially, we started with the most common questions, and then we started asking questions that are like, oh, okay, just in case they ask this and just in case they ask that and stuff. And I realized that most of those things came out in my interviews. But then much more than rehearsing, or not even rehearsing, much more than preparing answers to the most common questions, you also want someone who can make you uncomfortable, so that if you get there and you are asked a question that you didn't prepare for, or something that you were not expecting to be asked, you would be able to think on your feet. Sometimes there are no right answers to these questions. Sometimes it's just them wanting to know your thought process, or how you process things, or how you solve problems and stuff like that. And then I think something else, like if you have a red flag, be prepared to talk about it. So definitely practice that, how you're going to tell a good story about that. If you have something on your CV, get ready to talk about any and every part of your CV, okay? Because sometimes they just bring it up and you don't just say, yes, I did this. No, you actually have to talk about it. Yes, I was involved in this and this and that, and these are the values I learned, these are the qualities, it's an interview, yeah, showing yourself, you're marketing yourself. So, learn. There's an art to interviewing, and towards the season, I'll probably talk more about that. But that's how I prepared. Tips on personal statement. Please start early as you can. It's very overwhelming, and the most difficult part of personal statement is starting. So I think for me, what I did was, obviously I attended lots of webinars, saw lots of samples. So there are things about the personal statement that I really like that I saw online. I would try to adapt it. But before that, one thing I know that I did was, anything that I thought I would want to include in my personal statement, I wrote it down. Like, I didn't care, did it align? Am I writing different thoughts? Like, I just cared, like, oh, if I remembered something, I'm going through my day and I remember, okay, this would be nice to say about myself, and this is a good way to word this, I'll just put it down. And then one day someone just pushed me and said, you know what, if you're like if you're a good poet, what would you do? Like, just start writing. And I picked up my pen and I started to write. And then one day I just came and then put everything together in paragraphs, right? So you would see lots of guides during the season about like what should your first paragraph be, what a good hook is, what a good closing is, where which paragraph should be. It's not strict, but it's like a guide. You know, where should you talk about why you, where you should talk about why internal medicine, if that's your specialty and stuff like that. So you see those things. So I think that's mostly how I prepared. And then I paid a professional editor to help me like edit for grammar and all those kind of things. Do I think it's possible to prepare for USMLE during house job? I know that it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And I've talked to like a lot of people who are doing house job and they have the same questions. So I would say that while you might not have 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours to study, I'm sure that you can pinch out 1 hour. You can do 4 hours in a week. And I promise you, if you do 4 hours a week for the 50 weeks or so that you're going to do your house job, you're probably going to come out almost done, if not done, with the curriculum of the USMLE step 1. And then in the months leading up to your NYSC, those 1, 2, 3 months that you're clearing and all, you can actually like get a dedicated period and just finish up and go to your exam. So when it comes to like being busy or doing house job and preparing, just remember that, like these are baby steps and like small things do add up. So do not, because you can't do the big ones, you can't sit at a stretch and do 4 hours, don't underestimate the power of 1 hour before you go to work or 1 hour after you come out from work. It does add up. Just imagine 1 hour times 360 days. That's 360 hours, and that's like a long time. So yes, it's going to be harder because I know that sometimes you want to sleep after work and stuff, but if you really want it, I feel like you can do it. So even if you don't do it during house job, you can prepare enough that after house job it's easier for you to just go in and do your exam. Please, if you're finding this Q&A valuable, please like the video so that I can know that I'm not wasting my time, because I've had to shoot this video twice. This is the second time I'm doing it, so I know that it's something that you guys find valuable when I keep doing it. Did I have a mentor who helped me during the USMLE journey? I did have several people who I would consider mentors, even though we didn't have that official label, but I feel like they did what a mentor should do. So even though we didn't sit and do coffee every week and they call me and give me therapy sessions like, how you doing? No, I had people like help me review my PS, had people help me review my CV, had people plug me on the best resources for step 1, had people tell me, okay, this is the group to join and stuff like that. And to me, that's mentorship. So I did have mentors during the process, even if it wasn't one person, but I had people who did the work of a mentor to me. So yes, I did. How did I match without clinical experience? I do not know. I can't say, but just best believe that when you're researching programs, you will see that there are programs that do not require US clinical experience. Because I didn't have the money to splurge, I knew I wasn't going to apply broadly. So when I was getting my program list together, and if that's something you want to know, how to know which programs to apply to, I did not apply to programs that required USCE because I don't have the money to take a chance like that. I didn't want to get filtered out by that. So if they said it's there that they do not accept people without USCE or that have a minimum requirement of 2 months, I didn't bother applying. Not that, okay, there are programs that would have those strict requirements and then there are ways around it. Maybe someone speaks for you, but I didn't have all of that. So I just stayed clear of applying to those kind of places. So yes, it is possible to match without US clinical experience, but the ideal thing is that you want to just have it so that you have more options. How can I get research as an IMG? Research as an IMG, if you are working in a hospital, look for an interesting case, write up a case report about it, present it in your hospital seminars or ground rounds or whatever, include it in your CV, go online, go to Facebook, go to Reddit, look for groups of people that are publishing or doing stuff, ask if you could co-author with them and join them. That's one. Reach out to your professors. If you're medical school, they are professors for a reason. Most of these people are already like publishing and writing papers and stuff. Ask how you can get involved or how you can help. Just let people know, people that are in it, let them know that you're interested, and I feel like somebody will plug you to it. Is it possible to match right after graduation? Yeah, I know 2 people personally and more people online who have done that. And I think you asked about a few publications. I would first ask you, what specialty are you trying to apply to? Because not every specialty weighs research equally. Not every program even weighs research equally. For example, at my program, they said about research requirements, their view is it depends on your career goals. If you want to be an academician, like you want to be in an academic setting, then research is important for you. But if you just want to just be a clinician, research might not be important for you. So why yes, it's important to know the basics of research, how to interpret research for your patients, and all those kind of things. Also remember, first of all, that you're a doctor, not a scientist. So please don't put undue pressure to have like a whole CV filled with research. However, if you're applying to an institution that is very research intensive, if they really value research, then you know you have to do tons of research, okay? But if your question is if it is possible to match with few publications, absolutely yes. But then, as I just explained, there are other side notes to this question. So check your specialty, check the average number of publications that applicants to your specialty have, and use it to weigh against what you have. But have I seen those who have matched with that research? Yes, I have. Do I also agree that there are some programs that you cannot get into without adequate research because you don't just fit into what they are about? Yes. How did I decide what programs I wanted to apply to? So I went on Residency Explorer. There you have the average number of USMDs, USDOs, non-US IMGs, US IMGs. So there's like a particular, you have your own particular cutoff, right? This is like, you're not going to apply to a program that have 0% IMGs. You can, please, don't get me wrong, you can. But in my experience, I could not do that because I was not applying broadly, as I've mentioned before. So I had to like really apply to places where they even reviewed IMG applications, because the truth is that not everybody would take IMGs. Okay, so I did that, and it was still a lot. So I used Match a Resident to try to get like a customized list, so it will factor in your scores, your USCE or lack of, your research, and blah blah blah, and try to like come up with a compatible list for you. So I started with that list as like my main first list, and I made my first list based off on what I saw, what they said about these programs. If people from my med school country had interviewed there, or people from my med school had interviewed or matched there, and I felt like, okay, this means that you at least have a chance of your CV or your application being reviewed. So tried to find people who had similar stats and nationality as me, find where they interviewed at. So, because again, my rationale is, if you interviewed them, then maybe you would interview me as well. So I applied to the places where they got interviews at. You would also see some spreadsheets go about. At least you would see like the most IMG friendly programs or things like that. You add that to your list as well. There is also meet and greet. There are lots of meet and greet during the season, so I attended a few, and I think I applied to maybe 2 or 3 of the places where I attended a meet and greet, just maybe because I felt like, okay, maybe I'm familiar to you guys, maybe you guys would remember that I attended. Some people don't count that, right? They'll tell you that this is completely optional. And yeah, and I think maybe the last thing I did, I went through each website though, and I checked for people who looked like me, because that was very important to me. So, and after that, and then I added extra places. So it depends on how much money you have and how many programs you are planning to apply to. Last question I'm going to take today is about my dedicated period for step 1. I'm going to link a video that I made about step 1, but dedicated, I would say I did not have dedicated because I was in school and the semester was on. But in the months leading up to my exam, I focused on doing questions, focused on UWorld. When I finished UWorld, I did 1 round of AMBOS as well, and I did like about 2 MBMEs with the 2 UWorld self-assessment and free 120. And yeah, that's what I did in the months leading up to my exam. If you want like a more focused step 1 video, please just let me know in the comment. I've enjoyed answering the questions. I've enjoyed thinking about these things, and I know that yes, I'm rushing because my phone keeps overheating and makes me stop and start. And I hope I get to do more of this actually in the future. If I've answered your question, please let me know that I answered the question. It will really make me happy. And if I did not, please still drop it in the comments. I might reach out to you personally and answer those. If you don't know where to begin, I have a beginner's guide, which was actually the first video I made on YouTube. Thank you guys really for sticking with me. It's because of you guys that I'm able to talk about YouTube on my interviews, right? So I really appreciate, and thank you guys for helping this girl be less camera awkward. Next steps would be residency, and yes, I think I'm going to be more consistent, hopefully, in residency, and bringing you guys like all the gist about what my new life is going to be like. And thank you guys for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which is probably going to come up next month. Bye.